What's up, YouTube? I'm Vaughn, and this is the Gear channel where we discuss collectibles, hobbies, competitive games from tabletop to video games. And today we are doing some hand testing with my new Ogdoadic deck because many of you have asked me to do so. So I thought it would be a good idea to start right away. And then pretty soon we're going to start doing some matches as well. Looking forward to that. So make sure to like and subscribe because it really helps the channel out. I do really appreciate it. So starting first, just to show it's really like random with hand testing at the beginning, we're just going to reset all this. So just shuffle, draw random cards, and there we go. So we have a Nunu, Therion, Shadow Light, Overlord, and also Duality, which is not a good hand because as soon as we activate our Nunu, if our opponent decides to ash us, we pretty much have no plays. But people that are familiar with like reptile decks, they won't really ash the Nunu or Naya only because they're trying to hold it for like Snake Rain or something much more powerful. So it's very rare. But if someone does do that, like especially in this situation, we have like no plays at all. So we're going to start with the Nunu, and we're going to send the Zoa. Then we're going to go and activate Zoa to send the Overlord, then use Nunu to special, and then we're going to summon the Zoa, and then Shadow Light it to summon the Flogos. Okay, from there we're going to overlay to make a King of the Pharaoh Imp, and we're going to go and add our Naya now. So once we add our Naya, we're going to activate it, sending the Curse, and then we're going to activate the Curse, tributing the King to special summon. Now, I love having duality and doing the Curse play. Now, the reason why is if our opponent does Imperm or Effect Veiler targeting the Curse, at least we could chain duality to make the Reptilian, and then we could resolve our Curse because it's no longer on the field. So that's why it makes me very happy to have duality in hand time to time, but it's not really good in other scenarios besides pretty much that, and also for the draw. So then we're going to go and suppose summon the Naya, add the Water Lily, and now we're going to overlay for the Springus, and then we're going to overlay again for our champion. And when we activate the effect of the champion, we're going to go and add the field spell. So let's do that right now. So our Therion over there, activate it, and then we're going to go and get a Regulus. Okay, now we're going to go and summon our Emperors, and we get our Zora in case if our opponent decides to do an interruption now. At least we could trigger Zora's ability and we could fix their hand a little bit and also a graveyard. So now we're going to go and make a Zombie Vampire, activate Zombie Vampire. Okay, milling 4, Reptilian Cult, and now we're going to trigger the Champion. Now, Champion has an ability that when an XYZ monster detaches, you could target one card on the field, either destroy it or return it to our hand. So we're going to return the field spell to our hand. So now we have more materials for any of our costs. So it really helps a lot actually. So definitely remember to return that field spell. It's only in certain situation, like if you're planning of having a battle phase, then I guess it's good to add the Ethereum from graveyard to your hand. But besides that, always usually return it. Now we're going to go with our Water Lily, go and spell summon the Zora by sending the King, and then we're going to go and use King's Effect, tributing these two to spell summon him in defense. Now we're going to go and spell summon Regulus, so we're going to do that. Doesn't really matter. We could have done it before actually, but it's okay. So now we're going to go and synchro a Reptilian and a Zora, and then trigger a Zora. So we're going to add the Queen, then send the Queen. And then we're going to trigger the King for hand looping our opponent for 1. And then Omega for hand looping again. So our opponent's down by 2 cards. Now Regulus is going to go and discard the Colosseum to spell summon it. Then we're going to duality the King and make a Reptilian, which is so good. Now if you guys aren't familiar with what this card does, it's quite simple. Every time your opponent activates a monster effect, you can target one face-up monster on your opponent's side of the field and make its attack 0. So it's very good at getting rid of like nuisance cards, and it definitely prevents you from your opponent OTKing, and especially since we already made our opponent down by 2 cards and we might have some interruptions, we have a lot of follow-up for our next turn, so we're not worried whatsoever. So yeah, it's not really a fast like on your board OTK, it's more like a control, I would say, because it's never guarantee of a win right away. It's more of a grind game that you're playing all the time with this deck, but it does have a consistency at least. So we're going to duality just to get an extra card in hand. So there we go. Oh, daybreak, not so bad. So we have a few options that we could do. We could overlay or activate daybreak. So I'm going to go with the daybreak and tribute the Empress, get the tokens, and we could supposed to summon the Queen or Overlord. It really depends what your opponent has. So Zombie Vampire really helps because it gives you an idea of what you're playing against. So you're not ever going like blindly first. So when you see like cards in your opponent's graveyard, you know what you're going to make. So if our opponent isn't playing like Phantom Knight or something that's supposed to summon from the graveyard, then we won't make Queen. We're going to actually just make the Overlord instead. But if we see that our opponent is actually playing with cards that actually returns from the graveyard, gets supposed to summon, then we were made the queen because at least we could go and supposed to summon. Or if we see our opponent's playing like maybe something with milling as well, or like discarding, then we will make the queen so then we can supposed to summon in extra body as well. But yeah, so far with a decent hand, this is our end board. We have our Overlord, we have our Reptilian, and then we have a King Regulus, and we hand loop our opponent for 2, and we have tons of follow-up as well. So not a bad hand. Now we're going to check one more time with another hand, this time a lot better, but just so you guys have an idea of like different options that you can do with the deck more. Okay, so here we are with a way better hand. So we have our Nunu, we have a Snake Wing, we have a Chaos Space, we have a Queen, and we have a Reptilian Cold. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to actually do is the Nunu once again. And we're going to go and activate the Nunu to spell summon. Now, the reason why we're doing this now right away is because when we do Snake Wing and we send our Night Sword Serpent, we could trigger it, spell summon it, but you can't really do it the other way around because if you suppose summon the Night Sword Serpent first, then you won't be able to do your Nunu after because it's either you control Ogdoadic or no monsters. So we're going to go and activate Snickering right now, sending the Vanguard, the Night Sword, the Curse, and the Naya. There we go. So Night Sword is going to trigger, supposed to summon, and then we're going to overlay these two. And this play is pretty much just to show you all like different abilities. So the end board is like alright, but it's definitely to show you the diversity in a deck and what kind of different plays you can do. So we're going to go with King of the Pharaoh Imp, add the Lamia, and now since we didn't normal summon or anything, we could definitely summon the Lamia after. So now Curse and then get the Naya, and then Naya is going to get the Water Lily once again. There we go. So in Lamia, use the effect, get her Empress. There we go. Then we're going to overlay these two. Get her Springus, get her Champion, trigger her Champion. So now get her Theon, Field Spell, get her Regulus. So look at that, already a decent hand. Now Chaos Space, we're going to discard the Cult, and we're going to add our Chaos Valkyrie. Now since we send a monster from our hand to the graveyard, it's going to trigger our Vanguard. So Vanguard is going to be supposed to summon. Now we're going to use Empress because we want our Empress in the graveyard just so our regulars play. And we're going to go and do that, get the Zora once again in case our opponent has an interruption now. And then we're going to go Zombie Vampire, go, and mill 4. So we get our Alien guy, and we're going to trigger our Champion to go and return the field spell once again. So now our Water Lily is going to send the King, and we're going to supposed to summon the Zora. Now we're going to go and use King's Effect to tribute those two to supposed to summon, and then we're going to go and use our Queen Effect to tribute these two to supposed to summon. Now we're going to trigger Zora to go and add the new Overlord over here, and then just send it to the graveyard, and our opponent's going to draw an send, and then that's going to trigger if it's a monster. There we go, get the spell summoner Reptilian Cult. So now we're going to use Chaos Valkyrie, and yes, it's an effect. So we're going to go Banish Special, and then we're going to make our Omega, and then use Omega to go and hand loop. Now we're going to use Chaos Space to return the Omega because there are some cards in our deck that could actually make Omega again still. So just in case, we're going to return it. Yes, if it doesn't return, we don't really care because if we still have a King on the field, it's going to hand loop on our next turn anyway, so we don't really need. So we drew into a Nunu, which is like meh. Okay, now we're going to use the King Regulus and then get the Empress, and then we're going to go and use its effect to go and supposed summon the Empress because it had the Empress effect. Now we're going to go overlay and make a gigantic. Now there's quite a bit of place to do, but this I'm like, okay, like we could have made Lancelot 2, but I thought this was a lot better because for next play, what I want to do is actually this. We're going to go and use Zora's now since we didn't use that effect at all to add it back to hand, and since that was sent to the graveyard, it's going to still summon this one with its own effect. Yes, we are locked into reptiles until the end of your opponent's turn because it's for the next turn. It's not your next turn, it's the next turn. So that means at the end of your opponent's turn, you're going to be able to spell summon reptiles once again. And a lot of people mistake that restriction as in like it's the next of your turn, but it's not. It only counts the current turn and whoever's turn it is next. That's it. Okay, so now we got him, and yeah, just to be safe, because if we had room, we could have made the reptilian, but we don't, sadly. And we have Lancelot, but if we made it before, we're a negate thing, and we didn't have so much stuff to actually like bait the first negate, sadly. So we had no choice but to do this, but it was still works out. So we're going to go and just activate the effect and spell summon or alien, because since in this format most people have field spells, so if we have like a monster that's immune by everything and also interruption, it's guaranteed our safety. Plus we have tons of follow-up even in our graveyard, so we're all set, and we didn't use that much in our extra deck. So we hand loop our opponent for 2. We made one negate, another negate. We have 2 interruptions as well. We do have a floater, and we also have the Vanguard and the Graveyard as an extra floater as well. So we're guaranteed not to lose on our opponent's turn, especially if we just put everyone in defense. We will be pretty good. So I think that was a really good play as well. And yeah, that's it for hand testing. Now, if you guys enjoyed today's video, you know what to do. Like and subscribe. And if you want more of our Ogdoadic replays as well, or if you want more like tutorials of it, definitely comment it down below. I'm Vaughn, and this was the Gear Channel.